Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Hanging Out with K-Dubs. That's me. Today I got a new guest that I've never met before, and he was graciously enough to come out and hang out and talk. Welcome everybody, Mr. Scott Hasselmann. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thanks. Thank you for this invitation.
No problem, man. I'm excited about this. This is going to be a fun one, I think. Just something a little bit different, something a little bit unique, and I love promoting people's businesses that are in the area. So obviously this is always fun, especially when it comes to farming. I love talking farming too.
I can talk farming all night, especially that you got cocktails. So this is great.
Yeah, cocktails are always good in a situation like this, you know. But anyway, thanks for taking the time to come out and hang out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So for those that don't know, Scott and his family have Hasselmann Family Farm down in Marengo. But before we get to that, we're gonna kind of go back into the past a little bit. What did you do after high school then?
Well, after high school, I went to college and I studied agriculture at Western Illinois University. And then I graduated from there, and then I joined the Peace Corps, and I was an agriculture volunteer there, where I met my wife, Nana, who helps me run and start the farm, and worked with farmers in Nicaragua. And then,
wow, that was probably pretty cool.
It was cool. It was real cool.
So I'm sure that's been a couple of years ago, but I'm sure
the late 90s, early 2000s.
I'm sure the farming down there is very different than up here.
Yeah, I got to use oxen, and pick coffee by hand, and tried to plow without oxen, and
tried to.
And so it was really, they're just the most wonderful people. I mean, you'd go visit them and you'd leave with a bag of oranges or a gift. And these are people that are so poor, but they're, country's country. Here in the U.S., what I found overseas, country's country. They're hardworking, they generous, they're just down to earth people that you can relate to. So that was really neat.
So did you go overseas too then? And part of the Peace Corps?
Yeah, I was in Nicaragua for 2 years, 3 months, the standard time there, and that's where I met my wife when I was over there. And then I ended up going back. I went to graduate school and then went back to Nicaragua to work for a sister city project that had a little bit of agriculture to it. And then we ended up getting married, and my son was born in Nicaragua in 2004. And then we moved back here. We realized it just couldn't. Couldn't raise a family there, and we moved back here to the U.S. And then that's when that was in 2005.
2005.
Yeah. 2004. I'm sorry.
What was your so when you went over there to Nicaragua, it was strictly for agriculture then the first time that you went?
Yeah. So I was an agriculture volunteer.
So you were just helping on farms then and being paid by the Peace Corps?
Yeah, you don't make much with the Peace Corps. It's I had a post-harvest project where we raised some money in the States, and we had silos, these metal bins that were maybe as tall as this, 10 feet tall, and they'd store their corn and beans that they used to make tortillas and rice in. And I had a post-harvest project there, and we borrowed them the money to, we gave them a loan to build these bins, and then we'd collect the money, and then we'd buy more bins and things like that. So that was pretty neat, and we had tried to teach them how to gardens and vegetables and things like that. But you end up learning a lot more. You take a lot more back than you can give them, because we didn't have a lot of resources. So, but it was a great experience. Yeah.
No, that's something I like to travel too. So it's one of those, like when I travel anywhere, I'm like, okay, we got to kind of go see the countryside.
And one of the goals is Peace Corps I'm doing right now is to bring back what you learn. So even 20 years later, I'm sharing my experience. And that was one of the 3 goals that the Peace Corps had,
to learn and then bring it back and use it here.
Yeah. And here. So
good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah. That's right.
So after you guys moved back to the States, did you go back to the family farm then?
Well, my grandpa had a mushroom farm in Elk Grove Village. I come from a long generation. I mean, my family's been farming in the Chicago area for 5 generations since like the 1870s. And
dang.
My grandpa and dad were mushroom farmers in Elk Grove Village, and they still had the mushroom farm back in 2005, though they weren't actively growing mushrooms on it. They were more using it for parking and stuff to just to get by.
Mm-hmm.
And but the the barn was still there, the little barn I grew up around in the building. So I just started raising livestock, and I worked with the storage business we had, and that kind of helped subsidize my startup farm business. And I just started raising livestock. And then my grandpa had a farm in Carroll County, and I knew we weren't big enough. We didn't have enough land, and I never would be able to be in production agriculture. I went and studied about it at Western and everything, but I knew we couldn't be in production agriculture. We're just not big enough. Don't have enough land. So I thought, the only way is to take it to the consumer,
directly farm to consumer.
Yeah. So started as a dream, thanks to my wife and parents, and God rest their souls, that were real supportive of me. It was real hard in those early years, trying to raise the animals and take them to be butchered and try to find a market and things like that. Mm-hmm. And we slowly grew from just a few animals to where we are today.
And then, so that was in, just like you said, Carroll County. So at some point, you left Carroll County and then moved out here to Marengo,
Yeah, we
Illinois.
moved. My grandpa had a farm in Carroll County. We kind of outgrew the mushroom farm in Elk Grove in 2005 and moved out to Carroll County in 2006. And then my grandpa would have passed in 2008. And then in 2009, we sold the Carroll County farm and decided to come closer to our roots, and we bought the Marengo farm with family.
So now how big is the Marengo farm then?
The Marengo farm's 80 acres.
Wow.
It's a small farm.
Yeah, so, but for what you guys are probably going to do,
it's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough.
So then, so that would have been 2009, 10, 11, something like that.
2010.
And then at that point you decided, hey, now we got enough land here. Yeah, we got enough opportunity. We can do what we need to do.
We can produce some stuff. And it was a learning curve. If I could go back in time, I made a lot of mistakes. If I knew what I do now, I was putting up buildings. I was taking on loans. I was putting up buildings. And
were you working a full-time job at this point?
No, we weren't. And that was one of the hardest things. When we had the storage business, I had an income from that, but that ended. That helped kind of,
Yep.
And then that's one of the hardest things was that once I got into farmers markets, I had enough income to help, but it was still hard. Most people have an off-farm job, and then even nowadays with the health insurance, it's just brutal for us. Both my wife and I are full-time farmers, but just to pay the health insurance is like a mortgage payment.
It is, or more, depending on what you're doing and what you have.
And so we are Shackley distributors too. My mom had a Shackley business, so that we sell Shackley products that helps our income.
Hi. Yeah. I don't know what Shackley is.
It's vitamins and nutrient and health food products. Yeah, they've been around since the late 70s.
I've never heard of it before in my life. So when you brought that up, I was like...
network marketing. So it's a little extra income for us. My mom had the business. She started in the late 70s when she was a teacher, and she came back to take care of me, and now she left it to us. So that helps us a little. But we're full-time farmers, and there were times when we did farmers markets in Carroll County, and I'd just come back. I just had enough to pay. I was happy to buy diapers and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we had like used furniture and, bamboo furniture in the living room, and
kind of like what we got in this room here, right?
So it's a challenge, and it's still a challenge to this day.
Well, we're gonna get there. We're not there yet. So you ended up buying the 80 acres. Like you said, you put up a couple buildings for
2 sheds right away.
Whether it was for equipment or...
It was for livestock.
Mm-hmm. So you knew right away, like, I have a plan. This is our plan. You put up
put up a bin to store grain. I moved real fast. I'm pretty impulsive, and that helps me and hurts me. So
it can be it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, it's helped me to get... I made on my gut. I bought a egg washing machine for $500, and it's been... They're new. They're 20, 30,000, and that was a good decision. But I put up in retrospect, I've done some things I should have thought out a little better. We all do, right?
Every one of us does. Every one of us does. So when you put up these, and right away you went out and probably bought animals.
Yeah, correct? I had animals, but bought more. Yep.
So what do you guys have on the farm?
Right now, or
total. Do you still have the same animals that you started with?
No, not at all. Not at all. We'll have 6, which isn't a lot by today's standards, but we always have around 60 head of cattle on the farm with the brood cows and the feeders or more, 60 or more. We finish out a couple hundred pigs a year, and then we have the sows. We run 10 to 15 sows.
So you guys do from farrow to finish then?
We do. we do.
Oh man.
So
that's a
and
job.
then laying hens, we always run, max capacity, we'd have 1,000 laying hens, but usually we run around 700. So it depends on the time of year too. There's always some coming and going, and
it's a lot of eggs to pick up every day.
Yeah, we move. We do. We sell eggs. Eggs were kind of like our milk check, in the early years. That kept us going because I
believe it.
That was like how the milk check kept the farm going or whatever, all year long.
Yeah, they lose money. They lose money on everything else, but the milk check.
But the eggs kept it going.
Yeah.
You had income all year long.
Well, people would rather come to you and spend whatever $5 a dozen on eggs than go to the supermarket and spend $5 a dozen when they know yours will stay fresher longer. It's homegrown. It's produced right here. People like that.
Yeah, but in the early years, it was hard. I remember I had a restaurant that was taking all our eggs. Okay, and at that time it was like $3 a dozen or something, or $2.50. And my Depression era grandpa, he couldn't believe that we were getting that kind of money for eggs. This would have been like 2006 or something. Anyway, that was when, you remember when corn spiked back then, or corn got so high in 2006, 7 or whatever like that. So the restaurant cut us off because corn was getting too high. So then we had all these eggs, at that time it was only maybe 300 hens or something. And I remember going around the suburbs in the Chicago area to try to sell eggs. I'm like, here, you want these eggs? The pancake places, here, $1.52 a dozen, didn't want them, and just like crying because you couldn't get rid of the eggs. So you pay your dues over the years and all this. Then after that, I found a farmer's market, and then I was like, cha-ching, okay.
Hey, here we go. We got something here.
You don't have the... I can't afford to own a brick and mortar store. The nice thing about farmers markets is you go there, put up a tent, boom.
And at the end of the day, you go home.
You're in the area where the demand is, and up in the Chicago area. So after that happened, then that would have been about 2009. We started doing farmers markets. Then it was like, okay, that was like our milk check.
Yeah, now
I did a market on a Thursday and a Saturday, so I had income.
You're moving in the right direction now.
Yeah.
Now your name's getting out there. Your product's starting to get out there. People are starting to recognize you. Yep. They're starting to like your product. You're heading in the right direction at that point.
That was a game changer then, and that was in a year when farmers markets were in that 2008, 9, 10. There's a movie called Food Inc. came out, and then farmers markets were really hot and they were popular. Everyone was wanting to do them, and so that was it. It just goes through phases, these cycles or whatever. Mm-hmm. So
it does. It really does. So luckily for you, you got in at the right time when all that started happening. Maybe a little late to the game or whatever, or a little early to the game, maybe even.
Maybe. I don't know if it was early. I don't know if I can't answer if that was early or late. It was
the right time.
It was the right time. But there was I remember our neighbors were saying I was putting up buildings but that was during when construction was just terrible and just
was absolutely dull.
It was a recession or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Those
2006, 2007 is kind of when it going into eight. When it really crashed. Yep.
And they couldn't believe. And I had contractors coming out and they were just so happy to have the work. And but my neighbors couldn't believe I was that were in the trades that I was investing in this kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely makes sense because they're looking at it going, you're investing in buildings and in land and we're in a recession right now. Like, are you sure you want to do this? But hey, the heart wants what the heart wants.
One neighbor said, one guy told me, he's like, they'll never make it. I think, you live in a rural area and I've seen people come and go, even myself, and I get kind of like that. And,
I think every farmer and every business owner has heard that more than once in their life.
Yeah, they're like, they'll never
make it.
You'll
never do it. You'll never get it done.
You'll never make it.
No, watch me.
But then the guy told me he was a, I'll just say he still works on our property. And he's like, yeah, I remember when we first came here, someone said, you'll never make it. And, well, you're still here. So.
Doing something right.
Trying. I don't know about right.
So now you've built this farm into a big farm stand, into the probably what you envisioned, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I envisioned lollying around in pastures, taking care of animals and doing all this. But when it comes down to it, I'm more of taking care of customers and retail. And, you got all the business end of it, and customers what I found is you got to take. In the early years, I focused on the production end of it. I was like, you produce, learning, reading books, everything. But you got to focus as much on the retail part as you do as the production. You got to put it just as much, and that retail can be exhausting.
It can be very exhausting.
I have customers texting me or emailing me pictures of a cut of meat they got, and that just drives you nuts on like a Sunday or something like that. And they're like, I need, and they want, and it's not like, and they want a response. And they want, you can't
wait a day. You can't wait 3 hours.
They just want a response that they want everything. They want a farmer. They want a meat
specialist, a butcher, and everything else.
Yeah, they want all that, and then we deliver. So you got to focus on delivering, and then you got to, you got to like people too. And I love our customers. We have some of the best customers ever. But if you're a farmer that likes to just hang out in the shop and work on a wrench,
be behind the scenes,
curmudgeon, you don't want to get into this kind of business, because you really got to like people and be able to deal with them too, because there's going to be problems.
You have to do both, right? You have to be the person that's making sure that everything on your farm is going right.
Right.
You have to make sure the hens are good. You have to make sure the pigs are good.
And that's the challenge.
You have to make sure the cattle are doing well, and then they're not sick. And if they are sick, what do you got to do? But meanwhile, your farm stand might be open. So you got customers coming in looking to buy product, and you're out here trying to take care of a sick cow.
Well, yeah, that's the hardest thing. You'll be like packing orders, and then packing orders, getting ready, and you're clean in your clean clothes, and then, cow's calving or something, and you got to change
gears.
Cow
got out,
cow got out.
South-Farrowing or whatever.
You got to change gears real fast, and it's just family labor, and we have some volunteers and family part-time people, but we're not like a huge. People seem to think we don't have a ton of. It's just us. When you call the farm, you're going to talk to me most likely. So we don't have a huge staff or anything. We can't afford to pay
to do that.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Some part-time help here and there once in a while if you got a busy weekend or something like that.
Part-time help and volunteers and family, a lot of family. So it's family. And in farming, you can work 60 hours a week. You could be making 2 cents an hour or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or nothing. So
you could be losing money at that.
Yeah, we've lost money over this. It's a labor of love. So I don't think sometimes people don't understand. I think most people know farmers are hardworking people, but I don't think they understand sometimes
what goes into it.
Yeah, especially on the retail end of this too. It's not like, okay, say I get a nice 1,000-pound steer, 1,200-pound steer, whatever. It's not like I take it to the sale barn and get a check. I got to take that to the processor, have it killed. You got to pay to have it killed, and get your return on investment on that and stuff. So,
being that you brought that up, I'm glad you did, because since basically 2020, 21, there's been a lot less butchers in the area.
Yeah.
Number one, and kill barns. Do you have a specific one that you use for all of your animals?
We have 4 total that we use.
4 total.
One for chicken only. There's very few chicken processors in the state of Illinois, and we have one we work with down in Central Illinois that we love.
And they help you out big time.
They're great to work with. Yeah.
And so now, do you haul your chickens down there then, or do you ship them down there?
I don't. I used to haul them down there years ago. We'd raise them on the farm and get up at 2, 3 in the morning and haul them down there. But now I work with another Amish farmer down there that lives right by the plant, and he raises them for me.
Oh, perfect.
Out on the grass, and it's just
that makes life easy.
Well, it's better on the birds too. That was hard on the birds. It's better for me. I can focus on egg production. They can focus on chicken production.
On the meat side.
On the meat side. Yeah. Same with the turkeys. So we used to, when I was younger and ambitious, we'd haul everything down there, and you're white knuckle driving at 3 in the morning in a storm, and all these chickens heating up in the crates in the back, and it's just, the kids were little. It was just, so you can't do it all. That's what I figured. We focus on the hog production, the beef production, the layer production,
Your three main big ones.
Well, and we sell a good amount of lamb too. But we still raise some sheep. But I have a friend that helps me that's been raising sheep for 60 years, and he runs a bunch of ewes, and he helps us. So.
That's perfect then.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, because once you start getting all of this production going on, because I'm sure you guys do vegetables and everything too, right?
We do some vegetables. Even that is, we do some potatoes and things on a very small scale just for our store, not for farmers markets. But yeah, because part of it is, we got this customer base that comes out.
Absolutely.
And the more that you have to offer, the better. So we do some vegetables. We're very small on the vegetables, but it's all organic style, hand weeding. So, with a hoe or a cultivator or something. So it's not, we're small on that. But yeah, and that's small on that.
So now, like when it comes to your cattle, you said you had 60 head of cattle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you got different age groups,
we do.
different variants of sizes, so you always have meat on hand or able to ship or able to sell at any point in time.
I've outstripped my demand years ago, and I have other farmers that raise grass-fed beef for me that helps out. Yeah, I have some other farmers I work with that help out. I cannot. The pork production, we can produce enough of our own. I mean, but on the beef, I can't. I have friends that raise grass-fed, pasture-raised
like
beef.
you guys do.
Yeah, and then if I run out, I can get animals from them.
Always get from them. So if I was going to call you today and say, hey, I want a half a steer, right? Is that something you have readily available, or is that something?
We'd be pushed back about 3 months now.
3 months.
Probably till fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I only sell a certain amount of halves because.
Or a quarter, whatever.
We sell more quarters. We sell more quarters. I should
have said quarter because that's obviously a better price point. You're going to get a little bit of everything in that. And for consumers nowadays, they don't all have.
We sell more quarters. I'd only do a few halves a year because I want to be able to keep as many people. And now we're in peak farmers market season, so I'm just pushing back till fall right now because we need everything.
You're safe then.
Yeah.
You're safe then. So when you started doing hogs then, because you said you do farrow to.
Yeah, Berkshire pork is what we raise.
Berkshire. Mm-hmm. Now, did you put up a farrowing barn then?
No, because we're old-fashioned. We're farrowing in the old dairy barn. I did put up a hog house. I put up a building that was originally for chickens. I put it up for chickens, then we converted it over to pigs with stalls for them to farrow in. And then in the early years, we pasture farrowed in old A-frame huts. Too.
No kidding.
Yeah, out in the woods in Lanark, we tried all that too, and that got to be a little challenging. There was good and bad things about it, but we don't use crates. We farrow in the dairy barn or in our hog house, which can have like 6 sows at a time farrow or something, and then we have a heated area in the winter where a half a dozen sows can farrow in the winter. So it's all in stalls or outside. Like this time of year, they can be in a big shed or something.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah. So
little fan blowing in the breeze and in the hot days
they do all right. So that's we like to do that because I think the customers like I like it because the customers, a little baby pig will go, sows will be running around with their baby pigs on their farm, and it's just beautiful when the customers see that.
Mm-hmm. Did you start that at the very beginning?
I did, and I made a lot of mistakes. Yeah.
Wow, that.
I did out in Leonard and Carroll County, and I had some real train wrecks when I brought the wrong size animals that shouldn't have probably been breeding, and a lot of vet calls and a lot of expense. And yeah, I worked through it, but
you learned what not to do.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And with Berkshires, you don't get huge litters. So
what's their average size? 7, 8?
I'd be happy to get 8 nice pigs.
Okay.
We do a little crossbreeding too, because we had Chesters years ago, and we can get 10 sometimes like that, but it's still Berkshire pork. But
yeah, the majority of it's Berkshire.
Yeah, because it's all our boars are always Berkshire.
So you don't AI then?
No, we always run boars. Mm-hmm.
So do you purchase those boars from somebody that you know of, or outside, or do you go on auction sites and say, hey, this one looks great?
There's a few Berkshire breeders in the area, one in Boone County, and then my original Berks came out of Iowa, and then some from a heritage farm. So I'd bring boars in. Yeah.
That probably, it probably keeps the price down compared to AI. I know artificial insemination, it can be cheap if you're doing it the right way, but
yeah, I'm not against that. It's just, it's one less thing I got to worry about. It's a lot easier just to stick a boar out there and say,
have fun, buddy.
Here you go. You can make some improvements with AI, I'm sure, and stuff. But we don't have a real showy pig. I don't like those, that, because we're not in the show business.
No.
good hog.
You want the good taste.
Yeah, we want good taste, something that's going to perform in our simple facilities, something that's going to, handle the weather. Berkshires don't get sunburn. So we're not looking for anything to perform in the show ring. We're not in that business. We're in the meat business.
Correct. So then do you keep the gilts and some of the stuff back at that point?
Yeah, we keep all our gilts. I haven't bought gilts in years. We always keep replacements.
That's good.
Yeah. And the sows are great. The sows work out great for sausage in the end too. So, so the sows, have an end value with the sausage and things like that.
So like at your farm stand, do you have all this meat usually on hand?
Well, we have a store. We're open Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Yep. Oh yeah, we got a fully stocked floor. We have with all the products we sell, we have close to 300 products.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking 10 different flavors of bratwurst, and that's what sets us out from a lot of our competitors. I think we have quite a good variety. I mean, granted, we can't keep that in stock all the time. We have something new every week, because we go to processors every week, so we have fresh products coming in every week, and it's always something different. It may be pulled pork one week, it might be a flavored bratwurst, it might be a sandwich type meat or something like that.
Okay.
So,
and I'm assuming like with your hogs, you work with one specific producer then, or two, so whoever can get you in whenever you have hogs that are ready.
Yeah, I work with 90% go to one processor. About 3 different processors, but 3/4 of the pork goes to one processor.
Okay.
So, and they all do a great job. They're great to work with.
Yeah, I mean, especially around here, I know a few of them, and
the processors are great to work with.
It's hard to have bad stuff from them. It just really is. Yeah, sometimes you get something that's not great, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're human too. They make mistakes, but overall, they're just been really good to me. So so the farm stand that you have now, did you put that building up right away then when you started? When we started, it was there, okay, and it was just like a hole in the. It would have been. It was our egg washing room, and we had a table, and it was. We had a table, and it was a cooler, and that was it, a chest freezer, and then in 2016, we remodeled part of that building. We fixed it up, it's small, but we expanded the store where you could put a window and see the egg washing room, and then we made it a little store. So that was in 2016. I think I paid that loan off. So,
God, I hope so anyway, right?
So,
and you probably added freezers and all that stuff.
We bought chest freezers, glass top freezers, and things like that
to put into the store so people can look at exactly what they're doing.
It's a small store, but it's cozy. It's real cozy, and we're always real friendly. The staff we have is super friendly. I've been to other farms where you're like, okay, and it's just someone sitting there behind the counter. But at our place, there's a lot of characters, and it's always a lively environment. And
environment is key.
My daughter's decorated it. It's just beautiful. It's got a lot of farm history on the wall from where we come from, and just So I like that.
That does matter. That does matter when people can come into your shop or into your store and they can look around.
And the people we got working for us, they're just people.
Yeah.
People. They're people. They're friendly.
Yeah.
So
they like people.
and they like good food. So, but the people come out from the city. They never seen a chicken run across the road or a pig or a cow on pasture or something. So it's different for them.
So is your farm like open to where you can do tours and stuff like that?
We can do tours. We're open Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. People can come around, look around, do whatever they want. But, my time's short, so I can't be giving everyone a...
I just was curious.
Yeah, we're open for tours and things like that. And we've had groups out, homeschool groups out, things like that. But we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. They just come out and look around, enjoy the farm. It's a working farm. You're going to see a big pile of compost. You're going to see, there might be some flies. There might be a pig running around or got out, or, it's not...
The way farming is.
It's not a, squeaky clean kind of... we try to run a nice operation, but it's a working farm. Something might die. You might see a dead chicken. That happens. That's life on the farm.
It is.
And, when you have livestock, you're going to have dead stock.
100%. So, I was just going to say the same thing. When you have livestock, you're going to have that. Do you have many issues with like minks and raccoons
We do have some,
and coyotes and things like that?
We had a raccoon problem just last week. Lost about 10 chickens, and my son took care of that. So we had 2 dead raccoons. So yeah, fortunately we're in you're always going to have some coons, and we've had foxes and things, and not as much minks, but we don't have a lot of timber around us, so we'll have some aerial predators.
You're pretty open then.
We're pretty open, good. So we do, to answer your question, yeah, we do, but
it's minimal.
It's not like it wouldn't be like being out here by you in Harvard and trying to raise free-range chickens. That could be a problem.
There's a woods there, a woods there, a woods there.
There's a woods a mile from us or something. So, but we got coons and stuff. But we try to. You kind of got to figure that death loss in a little bit too.
Yeah, and you have outbuildings too, and as long as those outbuildings aren't completely sealed, raccoons are going to get in there and they're going to nest and they're going to enjoy themselves. And if there's food readily available, they're going to take it. They're going to go for it.
Right.
So that's just going to happen. That's just the way it is. When you guys, how does that work with your
Alexia?
Oh, I don't matter. You can pour it right there.
You're going to be able to cut this out?
Why would I cut it out? This makes for great. When you need a refill.
All this talking made me dry. So.
I get it. Well, why do you think I get a big glass? This podcast episode is sponsored by Dan's Diesel Performance. If you're looking to improve your truck's performance, efficiency, or appearance, check out Dan's Diesel Performance. They manufacture turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, transmissions, intake piping, and much, much more. Plus, they offer all the top brands in the diesel industry. They're located in Machesney Park, Illinois. Visit their website at dansdieselperformance.com or give them a call at 815-977-5865. And we're back because someone had to go to the bathroom. Might have been me.
Gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta go. So we were talking a little bit off camera, but it also kind of stimulated in my head when we were talking about all the meat production and everything else. So let me ask you a question that I'm sure you'll answer, but I want to ask it the right way, because there's a lot of smaller farms and farmettes out there that sell vegetables and meat and produce and things like that, commodities. What sets you guys aside from all of your competitors?
First of all, it's the quality of the product. I think it's the quality of the product. Not only are we producing quality, we're a pretty good amount of it. So we're not your backyard operation or anything like that. But
you're not selling 2 steers a year.
No,
you're not selling 5 hogs a year.
No.
You're not
hundreds
selling
a year.
Exactly.
So tens of thousands of pounds of meat. So, and we really watch our quality control. One guy cuts most of my pigs, and I'll be able to keep an eye on that. What's going through? If something doesn't look right, we can make some changes or do that. If we mess up a cut with the customer and we can't, like say I mess up a cutting instructions, I have pigs going in the following week and I can make it right with that customer. We're not huge, but we're not small, and we keep a really good handle on our quality control. And we're super friendly. All the people that work in our store, they'll tell you it's a fun place to visit, and yeah, we're just.
Now is it the same thing like with your steers too?
What's that?
You have basically one person or 2 people that
on that. It's probably 2 different processors, but yeah, we try to keep a real close eye on that. Yeah, for sure.
Because
the beef, the pork, the lamb, the chicken, everything. We have very few complaints over the years. I'm not saying we won't get some, but we have very few complaints. We try to maintain quality. Grass fed, outdoor raised. We try not to cut corners, and so far it's paid off. We have very over the years very few complaints. Not saying I don't. And then if we do get a complaint, we try to resolve that problem right away. Say we messed up a cut, I'll have that customer to cut the next week or something like that.
If you can, if it's possible.
If I can, yeah. We always have animals going in, so we always have.
Right.
It's not like some farms are only going in twice, 2-3 times a year, and then if something gets messed up, that's hard to fix. But we're going in with animals every week or every 2 weeks, so.
And then, and like your eggs too. I'm assuming you got somebody that candles.
All the ladies, my wife and my mother-in-law and aunt, they hand candle. We sell out of eggs every single week. We'll sell, pushing 10,000 dozen a year or something like that, which is small by today's standards.
That's not small.
But
well, from a farm stand like yours, 10,000 eggs a year.
10,000 dozen. So
10,000. I'm sorry, 10,000 dozen.
20,000 eggs.
That's not.
And these ladies candle them all by hand, so they check them. We haven't had any complaints on eggs, and we only sell a really fresh egg. So we focus on quality. We're not, I'll take care of 200 customers on a Saturday at the farmers market. About 200.
Wow.
And we probably got 1,000 families that readily buy from us, and that's enough. That's where we want to stay. We're happy. We'd rather take care of the people we have, and we're not trying to, feed all of Chicagoland. We just want to be good farmers. So
that's a lot of
good stewards. The small farm is an important resource. That's always been our goal. Is the small farm is a real important thing. It's important for the communities. It's important for the people where the food comes. That's always been our goal. The small family farm.
Well, and here's the thing, like with that too, is. I think we had this conversation earlier off camera, but a lot of people nowadays want to know what they're putting in their bodies.
Yeah,
as far as meat, as far as eggs, as far as vegetables, protein, all that stuff. And if they can come to your farm, you're consistent, right? You're consistent in how you raise your beef. You're consistent in how you raise your hogs. You're consistent in how you raise your chickens and your lambs. And when people can come to your place, they can go, I know the product I'm getting. First of all, because like you said, quality control. You're always watching that stuff. You're always taking care of the animal when it needs to be taken care of. And the quality is going to be there. They know what they're getting. When you go to the supermarket, you're not 100% sure. You're not 100% sure where that thing came from. Did it come from Texas? Did it come from California? Did it come from, I was just going to say New Zealand, Australia? You just don't know. Where when they come to your place, they know.
That ground beef came from one cow. It didn't come from 50 mixed together or whatever.
Yep,
so
or it came from even 2 cows, but they were right out here.
Right. Exactly.
It came from that cow and that cow got combined, and it's still the same product though.
Exactly. So we get a lot of customers that come. I tell customers, they ask me all these questions. Are you organic? This and that. I say, if you want to come out and see how they come out to the farm, you be the judge. If you like what you see, try 1 pound of ground beef. You like the way it tastes, then think about a quarter cow. Someone will call me and say, I want a quarter cow. I'll say, why don't you just come to the farm and try a pound of ground beef? See if you like it. See how well we do.
Or take 3 pounds. Take 3 pounds of ground beef, fry a couple of steaks, whatever. Yeah. Some ribs, depending on what everybody wants. But come try it first, and then if you're happy, let's talk.
Yeah, I let the customer be the judge of who we are. And, of those 200 customers I serve every Saturday, I know a good portion of them by name. I mean, they are good people. Not everyone, but maybe half, maybe less than half. And they're wonderful people, and they support us. They believe in the family farm. They're generous. They're kind with their compliments. They're just wonderful people. And, you go through life with them. I've had customers now where years ago they had young kids, and they were buying tons of meat. And then the kids moved out and went to college, and now they just buy. We only see them a couple times a year.
But they probably buy 30 pounds twice a year.
Yeah, you know something what I mean? Like that.
They might come in and buy 10 pounds of ground beef and 10 steaks and some pork chops and some bacon, and then you'll see them at the end of the summer.
Right, that's exactly right. And and they're not only I don't even look at them as customers. I think of them more as friends of the farm. Because you go through, like when my dad died, I got so many wonderful cards from the customers and things like friends of the farm like that. They're more like friends because you go through life's ups and downs with them too. I've seen, spouses lose their husbands and things like that, and health issues and stuff. And you feel
You feel for them.
You do.
Well, you get to know them.
You get to know them well. First name
basis.
It's like the old. You remember the butcher shop back in the day? He'd throw an extra pound on for you or something. It's about people. It's like, it's not all money in business. It's about people.
I agree with that. I mean, that is, I was a salesman for quite a long time for John Deere. And when I left that career, I knew, I was like, man, I'm going to miss my good customers. The people that I know by name, I know their families, I know their wives, I know their husbands, I know their kids, I know their grandparents, it's like, I'm not going to see those people on a now week to week or month to month basis. It's going to be when we run into each other at a party or when those are the customers I miss the most. Because it's like, God, I worked with them for years. And it's like now you don't get to see them anymore. And it's like, God, I wonder what they're up to. I wonder how they're doing.
You just get that kind of thing. And you worry about, like, if a customer, you're like, man, they haven't been around in a while. I hope they're okay.
Exactly.
And it's not because you want their money to come in. You're just like, boy, I hope they're okay or whatever.
They're good people, and I haven't seen them.
I haven't seen them. I miss seeing them. So, it's all part of it.
It is. It sure is. I was going to ask you something, and it completely lost my brain once you brought that up about customers. Oh, that's what it was. Good. So you said that half or 60 or 70% of them, when they come into your store. You know them by name. You know who they are. Yeah. But the other 30%, you got to remember, they're new customers or newer customers where you're like, hey, how did you hear from us? So do you guys do much advertising?
Don't do much. Okay, so a lot of them will be like, okay, customer came out to the farm last week, and I'm like, how'd you hear about us? He placed an order. He's like, social media. He said, whoever's doing your social media is doing a great job.
So
that's my daughter. I'll give her the credit. Alexia took over social media a couple years ago.
Good job, Alexia. By the way, she is off camera. She's a little shy. She didn't want to be on, but she is here. So in case Dad screws up, she can call him out off camera.
So we don't do any advertising. I've thought about it. I've tried it over the years. I put money, magazine ads and things years ago and stuff. It's all word of mouth now.
Good
and
for
the
you.
farmers market, you got to go out there and pay your dues at the farmers markets. We've been doing farmers markets. This will be 16th year or something, and then you just build up a following. Provide a good product. You just got to go out there and pay your dues. Well, and most of it's word of mouth.
I'm about to say, and social media is huge, especially today, right here today. Social media is just unbelievable when it comes to a business.
Since my daughter took it over, I was doing it, and I was just doing a picture, and it was so boring, and I didn't even know. But now she can do all this stuff in like 2 seconds, what takes me a half hour. So have at it. I'm just happy. It's wonderful to have another generation interested in the farm.
Absolutely.
So everyone brings their talents,
Oh, and like you said, they're all bringing their talents, right? You got to find what people are good at, put them on that, and say, just do this.
Exactly.
I trust you. You know what you're doing. Just handle it.
That's right.
So she's got that.
She's got that, and that's one of the best things. Having her and my son interested in the farm. That's why you do it. That's the whole point of it.
The next generation.
I don't care about anything else. Pay off the farm before I croak. They can take it over.
Or have really good life insurance.
Well, I have that, so even if it happened, they could run with it. But I don't know how much you want to say, how much you're supposed to share on this.
No,
but
you're fine.
My whole goal is pay off the farm before I croak and let the kids run with it.
Yep.
So I'd like to enjoy a little retirement.
No.
I'd actually enjoy a little life before I croak.
No, absolutely.
But you know how farm life is.
Well, and then you want to leave your kids in a better shape than what you were.
I don't want them to go through what I went through.
Exactly. And that's what it's
about this and the stress and
if all of a sudden you can have all of your debts paid, and no matter what happens at that point, maybe you guys are still kicking ass and taking names at the farm stand. Now it's income.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about all these bills over your head of you, the mortgages and all this stuff.
You know how farming is. You get one loan.
Okay. You get another loan. You get another.
Knock that loan out. Okay. Oh, this loan's getting low. Let's knock off that one.
But wait a minute. We need this.
Yeah, and that was it. Thankfully, all our equipment's, on a brighter note, all our equipment's paid for.
That's fantastic.
And all our equipment's paid for. It should be good for a while. we don't
repair and maintenance now.
Yeah, and we're not super. We have grinder mixers, manure spreaders. We're not heavy on the iron. We got what we need to keep the farm going.
Correct.
Skid
so,
steer.
do you guys reuse all your own compost and all you spread that back out in the pasture and let them do that?
I was just turning compost today, and at some point I'd like to have a compost turner or something, but I use a skid steer now. It's not ideal, and it works.
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
It works.
It takes a little time, but it works.
It takes time,
and it's way cheaper than doing anything else. Compost mixers aren't cheap either.
No, they're not. You got to have some volume to do that.
Yeah,
too.
well, or a long-term volume, right?
Yeah.
So you guys probably don't have enough volume unless you had a really small one, but they're expensive.
No, I'm better just moving the whole pile with the skid steer.
Exactly. I did want to ask, do you guys do any like field days or anything like that?
Yes, we do. This will be our 20th year. Since this part of the farm was started. The wife and I started. My wife Nana and I started in 2005.
First of all, congratulations, because that's to start from very little to where you guys are at now. Sounds like it's been a lot of hard
thank
work.
My wife, because she would kill me if I didn't thank her. She put up with me all those early years. No, don't. Whatever. She put up with, she saw the hardest part of it. She was holding lambs while I'm docking tails, and the freezing cold, the dead lambs, and then the pigs dying, and all the whole nightmare, of getting the farm going. And then she washed all the eggs and, taking care of the little. God bless her for helping us get started. But anyway,
fed all the calves.
Oh yeah, we had tube and the bottle calves, and she was always there with me. God bless her. But this is our 20th year. So we've had one event, or we had a huge Easter egg hunt in April that Becca and Alexia helped with, and they did all that, and almost 300 people came out. Easter egg hunt in the haymow. That was really cool. We did not expect that. It was a really cool event. The first big thing we did. And now we've got another event planned, June 29th, Sunday. It's a 5K run around the farm. You're running through the pastures. You might have to watch out for a cow pie or a cow or around the farm. It'll be
so when you're running, run with boots or barefoot, one of the two.
You can grounding, or you can do whatever you want. But anyway, it's going to be a run. You can walk it too, and if you don't want to run, we'll have a wagon there to pull you around the farm.
Oh, that's great.
We're going to have a dunk tank, a mechanical bull, food. It's not just a run. It's going to be a farm fun day, and then for everyone to come out and enjoy the farm. So
awesome.
That's cool. And we're also hoping in the fall to do an Oktoberfest kind of thing for our 20th anniversary on the farm. So yeah, we're doing more events out there, and they're growing, and all the info's on our website, HasselmannFarm.com. And
I was just going to say, what's your website name?
HasselmannFarm.com. And never forget, there's no hassle with Hasselmann's. There's
that
no
is
hassle.
Awesome.
My son came up with that.
That
George.
Is perfect.
He came up with that saying, and there's never a hassle with us because we're Hasselmann's.
Dude, that is catchy. It will work.
My
I
son
promise
came
you.
Up with that. So.
Oh, he's pretty good with that.
So
it's a 5K run, like you said. You're gonna have a dunk tank, mechanical bowls.
Yeah, the run's at 9:30. That'll be done at 11.
AM?
What's that?
AM.
And then you got to register online. You got to buy a ticket. You can show up that day and buy one too, but we prefer you do it online ahead of time. And then there's going to be food. There's going to be after the run from about 11 to 3 a dunk tank, mechanical bull, games. It'll be just a nice day to enjoy the farm. Hopefully the weather will be good.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like, come on, weather.
That's always it. If it is what it is.
It is what it is, exactly.
We had that Easter egg hunt, and it was just, the weather was perfect. We'll have an ice cream truck. Milk House ice cream will be there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll have, hopefully stuff for the kids, paint facing and balloons and things like that. So it'll be a fun day to enjoy the farm.
It'll be a good day.
Yeah.
It'll be a good day. Are you going to try to do that more? Not just because it's your 20th anniversary. You're going to try to start doing that more like next year and the following year after that?
I think so. Alexia's taken a big interest in that. And if it were up to me, I wouldn't. But with this young energy, It's nice to have Young Energy on. I just have an open house, and here you go. But
thanks for your business. Appreciate it.
Yeah, come on out.
Here's a free pound of bacon.
But thankfully, the kids are interested in this. So if they're interested in it, I'll support them on that because, you want to bring new ideas and young energy to the farm. I mean, yeah, I think we'll do it maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year.
Yeah, that's what it don't have to be every weekend or once a month or anything like that, but you do it a couple times a year. That's the direction
we're going. We're in a great location. We're right off I-90. I mean, gosh, we're in a perfect, beautiful farm location.
And HasselmannFarms.com, it's got all your information on there.
And we got Instagram and social media and Facebook and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out. We do a newsletter. Sign up for our newsletter.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a cool newsletter. I've been doing that for years, and people really like that.
No kidding.
Yeah, it goes out to about 1,000 people or so.
You do that once a month then, or?
We used to. Now it's probably every quarter. I'm tired and old. But Alexia's helped me writing some, so yeah. I don't know if it's that good or bad, but sorry. I don't
Well, it's summertime, so she's got all the time in the world now.
Yeah, you should get her on the screen. No.
She's shaking her head no for those that are watching this.
But yeah, thanks for this opportunity. This was great.
No,
really enjoyed this.
Yeah, what you guys are doing out there, like I said, I'd heard of you. I just didn't know much about you until we had a mutual friend reach out, and then I started doing some research. I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like, this is going to be something interesting, And I'm glad to hear your backstory because that just gives hope for any younger folks out there that it's doable. You just got to put the hard work in.
It is doable. It's hard.
You just got to.
It's hard. It's doable.
You're going to struggle. You're going to have days where you want to quit. You're going to have days where you want to throw in the towel. But just this is what you want to do it.
I'd say every year we've been doing this, so this will be our 20th year. I'd say there's one day every year, be like, okay, what's that auctioneer's number? Let's just, I could, but you can't give up. You got to keep fighting.
It's the same thing with this, with this right here, this podcast. I've had days where I just sit back and I'm like, man, do I really want to keep doing this? But then I think about times like this where I'm meeting new folks. I'm learning things, meeting new people and learning something new. And I think to myself, nah, I ain't ready yet.
And you were born for this.
I ain't ready yet.
You were born for this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You do a great job.
You just can't give up.
No, you can't
give up
you
yet.
Can't give up. Not for some little.
For a hiccup in the road.
Yeah. You're going to have hiccups. That's it. That's part of life.
When you hit the big concrete wall that's 100 miles long and 100 miles high, maybe you better rethink your situation. But nothing you can't overcome.
Yeah, farming's difficult. You're dealing with the weather. You're dealing with...
Especially in your situation, because you're not just dealing with the weather, but you're also dealing with animals,
retail,
and retail,
trying to be a delivery,
customers, and delivery service. So let me bring that up. How does that work then?
We deliver every week, one day a week, and we have for years, all over Chicago. I mean, all over the Chicagoland area, from the city, all over. And I route the run. I try to make it as logistically as possible.
Yeah,
and
you
we
have
try
to
have big enough orders to justify delivery, but it's a challenge. It's a whole nother thing to run. You got to route it. You got to plan it. You got to, it's just a challenge.
That probably takes you all damn day, doesn't it?
I got it down pretty good now. I got a good driver now. I've always had good drivers, but I got a really good driver.
So do you deliver to locations then?
No, right to the customer's house.
Right to the customer's house.
HasselmannFarm.com. Boom. We prefer to have it at least a couple $100 order. We don't want to deliver $50, but
no, I get that.
Yeah, and
I didn't know if it was like, hey, we're going to deliver to said location, Walmart in whatever.
We do have
Pingree Grove, and everybody can come there because it's only a 10-minute drive for the majority of you.
That's hard to coordinate.
It is.
Because
somebody's working, somebody's in the hospital.
We do have a great drop-up location in Skokie at Sketchbook Brewery.
Oh, okay.
That's the best beer around. So, yeah, we have a drop location at Sketchbook. They have a brewery in Skokie, and that's been really great. And they have awesome beer, too. So if you're in that area, stop in and grab a cold one, and you can order some meat to be picked up. So that's really nice. But the majority of our delivery services are are right to the customer's home, and we prefer large orders. Like we'll gladly deliver a quarter beef, whole
Absolutely.
hog. You know, we deliver down to the city, all over.
Good.
But you know, ideally we'd like our farm store to be open 5 days a week, but we're just too far out right now to.
Not there yet.
Not there yet.
Not there
Down
yet.
the road, maybe.
Yeah. Give it a couple years when the kids are out of school and they can be around a little bit more. And
5 days a week to be open.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
6 days a week. Come on.
She's giving no hell no.
We had a customer call today. Okay, here's a story. We had a customer call today, and she's like, "Are you open?" I'm like, "No, but we can be. My kids are here."
It's summertime.
So what was it? She came and she had our brats at her folks' house, wasn't it? Was that it? She had our brats at her folks' house, and they were so good and so lean. She found out where they were and just cold called us and said she came out and bought a bunch of brats, right? So
Fair
that's
enough.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's, you know, word of mouth. They try the
Word of
product
mouth.
out, they like it, there you go.
And I do believe that when your product is good and you do very little advertising, the word of mouth is going to spread very, very quick.
Yes, it is. Yes,
It's going to spread
is.
very, very quick.
Yes, it is.
Especially when it comes to local produce.
Yep.
No matter if it's meat, vegetables, whatever.
too, because everything. Yeah, meat, vegetables, everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to hit on?
No, thanks for having me. This has been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
I wouldn't go that far. You don't know me that well then.
I appreciate the libation while I'm here. Thank you.
No
This
problem.
has been great.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you and you as well. It's been a blast. Well, we'll have to do it again in like 6 months or something.
Heck yeah. Come back anytime.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
we'll
us.
do it again in 6 months to see how your summer went and what's
There we go.
moving on for the
Now
winter,
we're
and we can do something like that.
I love it. I'm
Perfect.
up for that. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.